This is Denise Womack, Board President of the Paterson Performing Arts Development Council. We are here today with Joel YOBE Belano, who is an instructor and art teacher with New Destiny's Restorative Transformative Justice Program. And so we're going to talk with him today a little bit about that program. We're going to see some of the artwork that the young people are doing, and we are going to hopefully have some information for you at the tail end. So if you want to purchase these art pieces and give us some boost along with the programming, that would be wonderful as well. Okay, so this is part of the Hamilton Arts Festival, our fifth year, part of the festival lineup, which includes both theater and film offerings. And this is something that is also very near and dear to our heart. We began this many years ago with other kinds of art presentations, but the virtual gallery is always a real hit with folks. Okay, so Joel, thank you
Hey,
so
how's it going?
much. How are you?
Pretty well.
Good, good. So we're going to talk about this program that you're a part of. And my first question really is, so how and when did you get involved with it?
So how I got involved with this program was actually pretty funny. It's a funny story. I was actually speaking on behalf of Servant's Heart Ministry at the chapel in Lincoln Park. They asked me to just give my testimony on the program, the workmanship program that they run, which is a trade program that they have entirely for free, and it gives you introductory skills to join and be able to pursue a career in the trades. So I just went to go share my experience, and through that, doing that, someone else that was there came up to me and asked me more about my story. And I shared that I have a criminal justice past. I've been arrested before and things of that nature. Coming from Paterson and living the typical lifestyle that comes with our environment.
Mm,
But I was able to transform my life through service. And when they heard what I was doing, and the vehicle I actually used to serve the community back is art. That's always been the tool that I've been gifted with, and that's what I use as a vehicle to try to help out and serve my community. So
right.
when they saw all of that, they asked me if I would be interested in joining the program for restorative and transformative justice. At
Mhm.
first, I was a little reluctant, to be honest, because I was coming from a carpentry shop and, I'm an artist as well. So it was kind of
Right.
different going into the community outreach space, but it's been nothing but a blessing. And I've been able to share all of the skills and tools that I've learned throughout this process, through my transformation and just trying to live a better life as a civilian per se. And I just been able to just give away all of that information. There's no reason to gain it all to hold it into for yourself.
Right, right. Well, that's awesome. I mean, isn't that wonderful how things kind of come together? You don't expect it, but there's these opportunities everywhere. Um, I want to point out, since you mentioned that, you're artist first and foremost, right?
Absolutely.
And you've been using your art. And so I want to tell our audience that we're more than familiar with Yobi because he has actually been, such a phenomenal part of PPADC's success. He has done a number of art pieces for us for in different capacities. He participated in the Walk By art exhibit that we had up at City Hall. It's been up at the Great Falls. He also did some wonderful contributions to some of the plays that we've been doing. And in fact, our closing event this year is a play, 3,000 Days of Abandonment, that includes a story about a family where they're impacted by the mother's incarceration. And Yobi is doing some wonderful background pieces for us for that as well. So, um, you do a lot of really good artwork, and I'm, really curious to have you share with the audience what are the mediums that you're teaching, within the program itself? How do you approach, the artwork in terms of your own experience?
So the way I teach art with the students is I realize that most people are intimidated by genuinely trying to create something if they've never done it before.
Mm,
So what I do is I make it really easy for them. And then I show them artwork that's real similar by a fully established artist and be like, you just did what this person did. And
mm,
typically I'll show them what it looks like in a gallery setting. Sometimes they're on auctions or it'll be pieces that already have sold. I'm like something you felt insecure about, but you were able to accomplish, you
right.
were able to do, and look at the fruits of it, just really believe in yourself and just try it. What you got to lose? The worst that's going to happen is you did something different. And
Mm,
most of the times it's really therapeutic art and it gets you out of the mindset of the noise and the clutter that happens on our day-to-day lives, and it allows you just to step out a minute and focus on the task. And even if it's as simple as just painting an entire canvas black from white,
mm,
you know what I mean? It's like, all right, you're not thinking about it. You're just thinking about, hold on, let me not get this on the table. Or,
right.
let me make sure I get oh, wow, it's dried off and now it's not dark enough. Let me go touch that up. So it's really just a therapeutic tool that I've been using. A lot of
Yeah.
collage work. I'll do some guided art as well, expressive art. Sometimes I incorporate music with it. So I have them think of their favorite lyrics or a song that really touched them. And also with another men's group that I have that I
Hmm.
work with called Bereavement, we tackle grief with
Mm,
specifically with men of color. And this has been one of the most helpful tools for us to think about that and just a process. It's no fixing of anything. It's just a great
right.
way to process it
Mm,
because you try not to think about certain things. And when you're creating art, you're able to think about it, but just more calm because you're task orientated. So
right.
it's been
Oh
a real
wow.
blessing to help out.
Oh wow. That's phenomenal. Um, so you mentioned a lot about the therapeutic nature of it and how you kind of approach in terms of the mediums you use. I noticed something about your art, and we'll be looking at your art and the art that the kids have done. And one of the consistent themes there, I think, is that you tend to use, and you mentioned that, images of well-known people or places or situation or things that immediately kind of spring to mind for people and evoke a response, right? So why popular figures and images? Why is that so integral to your work?
Well, I heard before, I'm not sure where I heard it at actually, but
Hmm.
it was to say that an artist's responsibility is to be show a reflection of the time. So one of a reflection of the current time is that a lot of people aren't familiar with things that already occurred.
Hmm.
So this gives me an opportunity to put something as simple as a little kid with a ladder and a duster in his hand that's about 2, 3 years old, and be like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Well, that's a chimney sweeper." And then I could explain them the history of how they used to
Mm,
take a chimney sweeper, tie a rope around a 2, 3 year old, and use them like
right,
a yo-yo and bring them
right,
down. So I'm able to open up the conversation and we could talk about something and it allows us to bring more light to the history of it. Well, like for instance, the Jean-Michel Basquiat one, he's a very
mm,
known art, he's a lot known now, but
right,
it gives me the opportunity to highlight the person, not just the work. And at the
right,
same time, I can also bring awareness, cultural awareness to the audience that, hey, that's a black artist. That's a Puerto Rican artist.
right, right.
You know what I mean? And he's
Hmm.
broken the record for the most expensive paintings being sold out of an American artist. And
Absolutely.
most Puerto Rican people don't even know that he is a Puerto Rican a person. And I like to bring awareness to all of that and show the history of it.
Right.
Um, with Reuben Hurricane Carter, that was one that I always wanted
Hmm.
to showcase light on because I was able to hang that up in Paterson City Hall, which is where the old courthouse used to be, where he
Right.
actually went to court at. So to be able to put a piece of artwork up there that says, Reuben Carter is innocent,
right,
It's kind of like, a little low key back smack
right.
back to, you know, a message.
No, absolutely. I mean, I want to also note that you did a wonderful piece on Joe Clark from Eastside High School that was gifted to my one of my sisters, and so when I say that we really love your work, I mean that honestly, my from my family on down. So. Um, Yeah, I love that. I think, art presents, such an interesting intersection of all things, right? And, being able to kind of layer that, you can get history that kids, maybe don't even have anymore, right? And connect it back, and it just can be so varied, and you really kind of I want to say that you pay a lot of attention to Paterson artists and things that happen locally, right? And I think that's wonderful, and we applaud that because, of course, we want as much shine on the people that have done such good work in Paterson, the artists. This community is thriving, and we don't want you to have to always get your flowers from outside of the community, right? So this is also, one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you, and you know, because you're involved in so many programs and doing such good work in Service Hearts Ministry. I'm going to give them a little bit of nod too, because we've been doing many parts of the festival out of their space over at 39 McBride, and they have wonderful plans for the community as well. And so, it all sort of comes together. Um, Let me ask you, what do you hope the children take away from the program?
Well, the program that we have is typically they get referred to us. They're all criminal justice based. They're all youth. They're all minors, and they get referred to us through whatever means of, I guess, consequences.
Hmm.
So, whether it be parole, probation, sometimes it'll be an alternative form of consequences for an
Mm,
action or a crime that they have committed.
right.
But what we do is we try to be more proactive instead of reactive.
Sure.
So we
Sure.
take each single one of these students, these youth, and we see what their needs are because everyone's needs are different. And
Right.
our community's issues and complications are very layered. So it takes someone from these communities to kind of understand what's going on.
Mm,
So where we come in is where we're a conduit to available resources that exist that most people typically don't know are
hmm
available. And
hmm
the way I look at it is the way I tell everybody, I said, I'm not here to score nothing. I'm here to pass you the ball. I'm here to pass
Right.
you the alley-oop and for you guys to dunk that ball in and
All
score.
right.
You know what I
All
mean?
right.
I'm like, you're
No, I
gonna
hear
climb
you.
that mountain, I'm gonna be behind you, pushing you up. You feel me?
Right. Right.
Right. So we do a lot of mentorship. We have some students that were completely checked out and said, I'm not doing school no more. There's nothing you can do to get me there. They haven't been to
Yeah.
school for over a year. And
Wow.
these same students have been able to graduate either early or on time through an alternative means. So it's just
That's
about
fantastic.
like, okay, because I understand school is not always for everyone. And
Right.
then
Right.
there's issues that happen at home that will pour into what's happening into your
Right.
school life.
Right.
So, and it's very layered and detailed, and there's a lot of traumas that go on in our community. But if we can help in any way, shape, or form, even if it's as little as encouraging them to get their license or getting their high school diploma. Hey, you don't want to go to college? All right, let's get you into the union. What's a
Right.
union? And
Right.
then really go deep involved into it. And hey, you got to do the work. I'm just gonna put you on.
Right.
So
Well,
it's
it's
really
it's interesting. I'm glad you made that point because one of the things I remember when I was in school, that was a long time ago, right? That we had lots of options. I mean, school wasn't just an academic, path. It was about learning shop, you had home ec, you had art. My love of the arts really kind of came from that experience of, being able to sort of touch things with my hands and, draw. I was very much into art myself coming up. And it's kind of unfortunate that a lot of these kids, everybody sort of funneled into one pathway, and these programs are like really critical. And
Yes.
Being able to bring exposure to them is so important, because we do have a generation of kids that, are at risk, and we want to make sure that, they have other avenues towards success. Success doesn't have to look, cookie cutter for, for everybody, right? So that's wonderful. The work you're doing, certainly is life-changing, right? Um, Let me ask you about the five pieces that you provided. Tell me what was the you have a central image to that. Tell me what was the ask of the students? Kind of, what project wise, what were they instructed to do? What were you asking of them? Was it freestyle? Was there a theme behind it? Was there something that you were trying to get at for them?
Well, for that project in particular, what we did was I took we paste style of art with the kind of that graffiti noise that'll be in the background. And I kind
Right.
of explained to them how certain artists like your Banksy's or even
Mm,
large scale murals at times could be wheat pasted on, and that this technology and this actually comes from advertising, which
right.
typically you'll see in New York a lot. And when they rip all those posters down, where it'll be like five of them right next to each other, when
Mm-hmm.
they rip all of those down, usually you see a bunch of graffiti in the background and stuff like that. But for that project specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to focus on the Statue of Liberty, which is a symbol of liberty, justice, and freedom.
Right.
So by using that as the central focal point on the image, I told them, all right, we're going to put this together. We had them glue it all together, cut
Mm-hmm.
around it, collect the silhouette of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I said, before this even goes onto this canvas, now, because I had them broken down into groups of four and
Right.
five, each group had to write on half of the canvas what do they like and what's positive about their environment, and on the other half they were supposed to write what they don't like about their environment.
Gotcha.
So by asking them these questions, just a heads up, the things they don't like about their environment came out really easy. But the
Sure.
things that they really enjoy about and love about their environment was more of a harder task. But the
Mm.
whole point of it was to invoke and have them think about the
Mm-hmm.
positive that exists already in the community that they come from.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that being a reflection of the voice of the youth in the background, that's a reflection of what liberty, justice, and freedom looks like. It might not always look pretty, it might not always look ugly, but it's their voice, and I give them an opportunity to speak. And I'm like, be honest. How does it feel like living around here? And through all of these photos, you'll hear the voices of the youth of Paterson is equally represented on there. And some of
Sweet.
them you're gonna notice the good side isn't as filled up as the bad side.
Right.
But the
Right.
whole point was for them to find the good in their environment because there's
Got it.
always good in all
Sure.
situations.
Yeah. Yeah, we sometimes have to dig for that, but yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
because of course the difficult stuff is always overwhelming. It takes up a lot of space, right?
Hmm.
So, Yobi, let me say this because we're gonna, folks will be able to see some of what's happening here, in a few moments, and we'll pepper some things in and out, in the back end of this. But, um, one of the reasons that we also wanted to sort of put this together was to present an opportunity. So if anyone sees this and they're interested in art and they, maybe want to purchase something, and I guess that includes your art as well, right? That's an option for them to do so. And um, can you tell me in what ways this might support what you're doing, the work that you're doing? If people, come in, listen, we love art, but art, sometimes it's very difficult to keep things going without the money behind the art, right? So,
Absolutely.
we want to encourage people if you see something that you really like or you're just really interested in supporting the kind of work that is going on in Paterson, right? We want you to be able to reach Yobi and get your hands on the pieces that are included here. Okay, so tell us, how we can reach you. Um, Tell us how this might impact your work and anything else you want to share with us about the program.
Well, actually, what I do want to share is that all of those Statue of Liberty pieces, if any of those sell, the 100% will go directly to the students that created it.
Okay, and that's awesome.
That I'm
You
going
know
to give
that's
this
got to
to
help,
them,
right?
straight
Okay.
up to them. So they're really excited about that. And they're all got their fingers crossed that one of them sells. And they actually got a little bet going amongst each other. Like, I bet your ours sell before yours,
Oh wow, I love
which
it.
is
I
pretty
love it.
fun. And they got a little competitive, which is awesome. And
Right.
the artwork that I do, all of the funding that I take, it allows me to do a lot more work in the community because I do a lot of other art classes, whether it be
Hmm.
with organizations like the Circle of Care, but I do like to work with ministries. And a lot of
Right.
times ministries don't have the funding and the
Funding.
means of getting these things done. So, like for instance, when I work with Street Hope Alive, a lot of the materials and everything I have, I really don't try to ask them much for it because I want the whatever means that they have to go towards all the other amazing things that they have for the children.
Right.
So if I have bulk or excess of anything, I usually typically take that to go work with the ministries. And I want to be able to expand that a lot more because these kids deserve more. And they love to paint. I'm telling you, when I come up, whether it be a parking lot on Rosa Parks Boulevard with a table, a few easels,
Yeah.
blank canvas, and some paint, these kids go crazy. And it's a beautiful feeling. And they
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
safe. They're outside, they're not stuck on the
Right.
electronics in their own little world in their head.
Right.
Allows them to be expressive on some canvas and bring home something cool that they can be proud of at the end of the
Right.
day. And I always take all of the money that I generate from art and I pour it right back into the community, whether it be hosting free art classes for them, doing private sessions with some students. I
Right.
have actually some students that I'm working with right now that I'm teaching them how to do graffiti, which is going to be a real fun course. That's going to get a little expensive, but I'm trying to find a nice legal way of doing that.
Right.
So that way we have a nice enclosed area where we have the right to do it.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so I wanted to be able to expand on that. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a new generation of young ladies that are going to be amazing writers coming
Yeah.
out of Paterson.
There we
Trust,
go. Yeah.
trust. Hmm.
Okay, so Yobi, last question. On an average, about how many students do you serve
On
in a typical
average,
class? In a typical class?
in a typical class, it could range anywhere from 15 to 50.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And the ages range from about 4 or 5 years old
Yeah.
to the oldest is 68.
Oh, you do seniors too.
Yes,
Fantastic.
absolutely. I love seniors. Actually, my favorite demographic is the seniors and the
Hmm.
really young kids because they're not so self-conscious. They're just doing it to have
Oh,
fun. And
definitely.
that's actually one of the main keys to making really good art. Just don't overthink it. Just do it.
I
It's just
love that.
paint.
I
Not
love
that
that.
serious.
Well, Yobi, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. So I'm going to reiterate that let's get that competition going for the kids, right? So
Yes.
we have five wonderful pieces with the Statue of Liberty included. We're gonna highlight them. You're gonna be able to see what the names are, and let's get out there and let's purchase, and those funds are gonna go directly to the students who made
Absolutely.
them. Okay, so those particular are young artists, and let's keep them going. And I know I can attest because we have not with PPADC so much, but with the city packs, we've done a lot of art in the park with kids, and yeah, I know it's expensive, and unfortunately, like the arts, it becomes kind of like an expense that people just don't have. You're trying to live every day, and canvases cost money, paints cost money, paintbrushes, all those things. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I know that you put a lot of effort into this. And folks also purchase the items that Yobi has put up himself because he does wonderful work, and you are going to help further his ministry in the service of Paterson in particular, right? But just in service to people, right, in our community. So we are thankful for your work. Um, Thank you for your time. I wanted this to be, kind of easy going and quick and to the point so people will spend a little bit of time grazing the paintings and taking a look and examining them, and hopefully we'll have some purchases that will make a difference in the end. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank
You
you so
applaud
much.
your
It's a blessing to be
work.
part of this. I'm so happy.
It's a pleasure. Always, always, Yobi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace.